the Beyond Beef is a very interesting conversation.
They have Beyond Nuggets now too.
Well,
you want to give
they're
those
shutting
a shot?
down.
Yeah.
They're shutting down one of the main plants of that because they are at the lowest stock market wise. They're at the lowest they've ever been, and that was a week ago. I haven't even looked at it this week.
Well, those people who are eating all that Beyond this and Beyond that are probably beyond life now because they're putting so much fake bullshit into their systems.
It is. You gotta. I mean, and we were talking about this earlier too. Is you have to have accurate education and knowledge of where your food comes from to make the best decisions to what put into your body. And those Beyond Beef ones, they were trying to appeal to a certain, so there's a big movement of anti-beef, anti-agriculture. And so the number one thing I always hear is, the environmental this, environmental that. It's like, well, actually agriculture accounts for less than 10% of greenhouse gas emissions, and beef cattle alone are less than 2%. Industry and finances. I know you are not on Wikipedia.
I don't think that's
No,
wiki.
it's the EPA, but it's 16% methane.
Okay.
So that's
well, you gotta look at the date when that was released. This is data that was released Monday.
That you just stated.
That I'm quoting, yeah. So that was from Texas Cattle Feeders Association, which mainly covers New Mexico, Texas, and Oklahoma. We feed 28% of the United States cattle.
Wow. Damn.
And that's just
That's
members.
a number.
That's just members of TCFA.
Okay.
That's not even the people that aren't members. So those 1,500,
significant.
2,500, yeah. So the TCFA, we had our annual convention Monday last week, and that's when we went over all these things. And I was telling them that since 1996, per animal, beef-wise, has gone up 67%. So basically what I'm saying is that we have put 67% more pounds or more food on the plate per head than previously.
Wow.
Frame score, and there's a lot of cuttability, better genetics, better feeding, a lot better nutrition programs. But
so you're getting more out of every cow than you used to get out of them.
Yep.
Because you're literally trimming the fat on the systems, processes, protocols of what it takes to get that cow born and get that cow all the way through to where it's harvested, packaged, and sold.
It starts in the uterus. So fetal programming is basically, and we're still educating. So I was in livestock nutrition before this.
Sweet.
So I had this conversation all the times. Fetal programming is based on the condition of that cow. We are trying to maximize her genetic potential and the sire's genetic potential for that fetus. If she is like me, right, pretty thin, scored, then she's barely feeding herself, much less a fetus. So all those her energy is going to her first, fetus second. Now, if she had more cover on her, so body condition score 6 out of 9, body condition score 6, 6.5. Now we're putting a lot more emphasis on funneling that nutrition to that fetus. So we're maximizing that genetic potential. Once that animal, I think it's the last 95, 100 days, something like that time frame, that's the max potential that calf will have for intramuscular and seam fat capabilities down the road. And so implants are a big topic, and it's a super helpful tool because not only are we reducing the amount of time that animals on feed, less water, less feed, less, if you want to say methane emission, sure, go ahead. But so we're trying to put on the pounds faster so we can keep that beef animal running through the system.
When the woke agenda of whether it's Bill Gates or whoever telling everybody, I think Bill Gates actually said, so you can maybe find this, my hero, Bill Gates, totally, my mentor in life.
Yeah, for sure.
That developed countries, especially our country, should just stop beef intake altogether as like a favor to the rest of the planet. Yeah. Did you guys see a dip in demand at all?
No. So,
and I know we're talking Texas, and I know Texas is like its own country.
I'm talking nationally.
But yeah, you're seeing national numbers. You're not seeing any drop off at all.
Last year, our export
stop eating meat and buying big houses.
Should take his own
So it's
advice.
saying he
Yeah.
said
Maybe you should stop flying your private planes.
Well, I don't know. You know, it looks like that diet of Beyond Nuggets
Oh, yeah,
and
look at
Beyond
him,
Burgers
though.
is
Beyond
really,
Beef, that's
that's a physique right there. That is a
quite the
man
dad
in
bod.
his prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They,
What a
well,
Well,
savage.
the headline's looking like he's saying the opposite. Like that's not. That's confusing.
Says telling people to stop. Says telling them will never solve climate change.
Yeah, well,
Can't read the
no
rest.
kidding.
Paywall.
No, last year just beef cattle. Our export market was we did $10 billion worth of business. 10.5. Just in 2022, up to this point, it is $12 billion.
Okay.
So the demand is higher, and for the first time ever, we've had our U.S. dollar value is higher than meat tonnage. So basically, people are willing to pay more overseas.
Right.
They're willing to pay more for our product. I mean, you used to talk about the Beyond Beef deal. Have you seen that picture of COVID during COVID that the meat part of this? I'm not sure if it was a Kroger or what, but every beef animal product was completely gone, and that Beyond Beef was fully stocked.
No, I haven't seen that,
Yeah.
but I believe you.
Well,
Yeah.
and people have realized that it tastes better. Beef does.
Oh yeah.
It's better for you. So, and that's the other thing is, there she is right there, that big one.
That's a good one.
Look at that.
I can hit up Uber Eats if you want to do a taste test.
Absolutely not.
You
Yeah.
sure?
Beyond Beef is un-American, in my opinion.
I totally agree. I just don't understand how making something in a factory seems to anyone like it's going to be better for you than making than something that's
Marketing.
Yeah, but
That's
it's also
the whole-
the virtue signaling of of how farming and ranching is somehow bad for the environment and somehow immoral, and that's such fucking bullshit.
It is bullshit. And unfortunately, it's a very difficult conversation to have because I am now logically trying to battle something that's in your mind from emotional. Like, look at the Humane Society,
Right.
who do not recommend supporting. But anyway, their commercials. Remember the old commercials of the sad country music and the poor little dog shaking in the cage?
Sarah McLachlan,
Yes.
right? Yeah, in the eyes of the angel.
Yes.
Remember
So
that?
how do I have to do 8 times the work to battle one little misunderstanding. So PETA is a mastermind behind this, and I do have to hats off to their marketing team. They do a fantastic way of doing this in their own twisted way. The videos that they release of animals not being treated humanely,
Yeah,
most of them aren't in the United States.
really.
Most of those are international countries 20 years ago. They released one, I think it was with sheep or a beef animal. I think it was a beef animal. It was a dairy cow that was being run through. That was in Mexico because I had been to that plant before. That was in Mexico.
Wow.
And if you find the original footage, it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I believe that.
Again, talking about the USDA and things, that animal has to be mobile prior to slaughter. They have to have free access to water. They have to physically be healthy before we can incorporate them into the meat system.
As a younger person, what do you think is behind all of this? What's motivating this agenda to get people to stop?
Public education systems.
Yeah.
At
But what's the
100%.
point? Just to weaken us physically?
Well, think about it. There's 2 ways to control the world's or a nation's population: fear and hunger. Fear, they tried that with COVID. States like Texas, Florida, we said, up yours, no, we're not doing that. But so that didn't work. But they wanted to see how long we could get people to follow the carrot before they lost interest, right?
Yeah.
So there's one. The other one is now food. So if we can limit, or we can basically increase the price of food, now we can control what you can buy because you can't afford to
Right.
buy certain things. And so it's pretty interesting from an economic standpoint as well, of where the government's going with this. And like Biden shutting down the pipeline, there's a big push for electric cars. Why is there a big push for electric cars? It's not environmental the government can give two shits about the environment.
Yeah, I mean,
they want to control where you can go.
Sure.
How long? Look at California.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to buy a diesel vehicle. You're not allowed to buy a gas vehicle, but you can buy electric, but you can't charge it.
You can only charge it for so long. Also, where are they going to put all the windmill arms and all the batteries from all the Teslas when they wear out?
Yep.
Those are sitting in the ground somewhere out in East Texas or New Mexico.
Or in the ocean, or
Like,
just dumping it off.
Is that environmentally conducive?
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, it just doesn't make any sense when you walk it all the way through mentally. It makes no sense. So if you eat this fake food, you're probably going to live 15 years less.
Yep.
You're probably going to have no energy.
Just food itself in general is not nearly as healthy as it used to be.
Sure.
And so why? Well, big corporations. I think there's 4 or 5 major companies that own all the smaller, like
Big
the Little Debbie,
conglomerates.
Names that you know. And so if I can substitute something for a synthetic or a cheaper product and still keep the same price or increase it, well, I just made my profit margin double than what it used to be. I don't give a crap if you don't live past 52.
Right.
If I can get you to buy my product still and it costs me half as much, it's just straight economic. It's unethical as all get out, but that's...
Well, and if I can get you sick eating that stuff that you
Big
kinda
Pharma,
get
that's
hooked
another
up- hooked on,
conversation.
then bang, I've got you as a lifelong
Yeah.
customer of Big Pharma too.
I'm on no medications. I'm on no pills, no nothing. I hardly go to the doctor unless I absolutely have to. My stepmom is Mexican, so all the creepy, like, drink this at midnight on a full moon. I mean, that's her. But understanding your body too. I mean, a lot of people are on medications, not because it's helping them, but it's keeping them sick to keep repeat customers. If you cure people, then they're not going to come back. And so it's really interesting. Just take 25, 30 years ago, compare that to today. Just look at economics then versus now. Sure, there's a lot of good things that have happened, right? Growth of technology, expansion of education, but even look at the education system itself. So there's a book I'm reading called The Battle for the American Mind.
It's a great book.
Yes.
Yep.
And talking about taking God out of the education system. And now we are incorporating this whole... I'm sorry, there's no first grader or second grader that needs to be reading a transgenderism or gay sex book. I'm sorry. There's actually, I'm not sorry. There's absolutely no reason for it. Our school, growing up, we didn't even have sex ed until like 4th or 5th grade. And you had to have your parents sign off on it.
How old are you in 4th or 5th grade?
I have no idea.
10?
I was already, well...
I guess when you're in 8th grade, you're what, 12, turning 13 to be a freshman?
Something like that, yeah. Because you graduate, you're about 17 or 18, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sex ed for us was around maybe 11, 12 years old, something like that.
And I already kind of knew how things worked. I mean, A for apple, B for bread, okay? Emma didn't draw a loaf of bread. I drew 2 horses mounting each other, and I hope to God my dad still has that picture because I want that sucker framed. And Dad proudly taped that on the cabinet, and every time we had Friday night, Saturday night football, my dad goes, to our preacher, he's like, that's what my daughter drew.
Where'd you pick that up?
Yeah.
It just came naturally?
Well, I mean, you grew up around it.
I guess I probably, I mean, when you grow up on farms and around animals, you pick up on how it goes down, if you will.